Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today, Bill Belichick's days at North Carolina are numbered. Seriously. What are we talking about? Well, guys, we got an absolute bombshell of a story that dropped Wednesday afternoon. I'm just going to stop the BS right now, and I'm going to show you guys this Twitter thread from Ollie Connolly, who was the guy, I believe, all the way back like 9-10 months ago that originally broke the Bill Belichick to North Carolina story. And so he's a reliable source when it comes to this. He had a bunch of information back then. He's got a bunch of information right now, which is absolutely staggering. So let's go ahead and read his Twitter thread here. Per sources, Bill Belichick has discussed buyout options with North Carolina's hierarchy. Bill Belichick has signaled a willingness to trigger his own $1 million buyout if he can find a soft landing with another team or in media. Dang, he continues. Members of Bill Belichick's staff have already spoken to other schools that are expected to be in the college football playoff about taking on roles during the postseason. From one coach, the Rats are leaving the ship. Dang, dog. Some staffers believe a change will come within 2 weeks. By the way, North Carolina is currently on a bye week, and then they have a game next weekend. Reports of serious recruiting violations remain under investigation at UNC. Recruiting and practice violations have been proven by the school, according to multiple sources. Using recruiting violations to knock down a coach's buyout has become a standard practice. If Belichick cannot find a landing spot to trigger his own buyout, he's expected to accept a greatly reduced compromised rate. Belichick's communication with his staff in the past 2 weeks has been described as weird and distant by multiple members of UNC's coaching staff. Multiple coaches were unable to get a hold of him during UNC's bye week, which is obviously this week. From one UNC defensive assistant, what we've done to these kids is effed up. Wow. Absolutely a complete bombshell from Ollie Connolly there. This is absolutely shocking. We are halfway through the season, guys. Some teams aren't even halfway through the season, and it's already time for Bill Belichick to leave. We knew this was a disaster. We knew things weren't going well. We knew that the team sucked. You can look at all of the offensive statistics. I believe they're one of the worst offenses in the country. They're one of the worst defenses in the country. Every stat that you look at for North Carolina this season, they are not good at it. They are not good at anything. But you kind of thought, like, I was reading Michael Lombardi, who's the UNC GM, who has been getting, dragged through the coals for a while now for a bunch of different reasons, similar to Belichick. And I read his letter that he wrote to UNC donors, I believe it was last week or this week. And his message was like, hey, we're stressing patience here. This isn't about this year. This is about the future. We got like 36 guys committed in high school right now that are going to be freshmen next year. We have guys that we're going to be keeping from this team. We're going to be having guys in the transfer portal. You're stressing patience. Well, these reports are that patience has ran out, and even with the head coach Bill Belichick, because if Bill Belichick is sitting, because Bill Belichick could easily, guys, he could easily just be like, no, I know the path. We knew this wasn't going to be a one-year thing. I'm going to be here for several years. You guys are going to keep paying me my $10 million a year, and we're going to see this through. Nope, Bill Belichick, at least from this report, is like, I'm out ski. I'm out ski. He's quit. He's legitimately quit. If you were discussing buyout options in the middle of the season, you have quit. What this tells me, guys, is that all the people that were skeptical about Bill Belichick in college, all of those people that said, you know what, he doesn't actually want to coach in college. He wants to come in and he wants to perform really well for a year, and then he's off to the NFL when the Miami Dolphins offer him a job, or the Jacksonville Jaguars offer him a job, or whoever, the Tennessee Titans offer him a job, or whoever it may be. You guys were right. Congratulations. Bill Belichick thought that he could go into college, and he thought that, hey, I'm Bill Belichick. I'm the greatest coach of all time. I saw all these college coaches come into the NFL, and 99% of them, I was able to run circles around them from schematics. I was able to outcoach them up and down the football field. You can't do that in college. Urban Meyer wasn't an X's and O's guy. but he knew how to get talent. He knew how to develop talent. Same thing with Nick Saban. Same thing with Dabo Swinney. That's how you win in college. It's the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's. That's how it's done here. And you know what? The binder. You guys remember the story about like the binder that he approached UNC with this big binder, and he's like, "This is how I would run a college football program, and look at all of the things that I know how to do, and like this is how we're going to build it, and yada yada yada, and we're going to set this up, and then my son Steven's going to be taking over after me." And it's just an absolute disaster on a litany of levels. You know, there was another article that came out from the WRAL. I'm sorry, I don't know the acronym for that news outlet, but they did a big like article this week too, just a few days ago, about North Carolina, and then just the dysfunction about how there's this divided locker room, and all of the guys that were on from the Mac Brown team, like they legitimately didn't even get to ever speak to Bill Belichick until like the spring game. He was there for multiple months, guys. He said that like the Belichick players in that article, the Belichick players have like preferred parking. There's a big like sign in the UNC locker room that shows when guys miss workouts, but the Belichick preferred guys, like if they ever miss class or a workout, were never put on that board. So those people got to like get off scot-free. They're not even talking to, like, there's not even, you know, I understand if Bill Belichick's not personally talking to, like, you know, players on the team's families and stuff like that, or not doing it that often, but you have to be personable in college football. You have to be, you know, buddy with the families. That's how you get the recruits to come to your school. That's how you get the players to come to your school. For example, you can see the Iowa State sign behind me. I'm an Iowa State fan. Matt Campbell, he was at Big 12 Media Days earlier this year, and he said, I believe it was an interview with ESPN. He's like, hey, all of our players took a pay cut. The reason they take a pay cut to stay at Iowa State is because all of those families, all of those players love Iowa State. They love the coaches there. They love the people there. Those are the things that you have to do to actually build a culture. And all indications of what has been going on in North Carolina is that they are not. It is a coaching staff that is littered with nepotism and people that did not earn their stripes. You can go through it. Michael Lombardi's son is like the quarterback's coach. Stephen Belichick, who I will give him credit, I do think Bill Belichick's sons, with their roles on the team, actually do deserve their jobs. You know, Stephen Belichick was obviously the defensive coordinator at Washington last year and actually did a pretty decent job there. His other son is on the staff. There's just like, I can't remember all the stuff. It was all in that article. But then there's a bunch of other people that had like no coaching experience before and were just like grad assistants that were like hired onto the staff. Like, it's an absolute disaster. And Bill Belichick thought that he could just come into college. He thought that he could come in, he could school Dabo Swinney, he could school Brent Key, he could school Bill O'Brien up at Boston College. He could school all these guys because he's smarter than them, that he's better than them. That's not the case. Again, everyone that thought Bill Belichick was using this college thing to get to the NFL was 100% right. Because again, at college, I will say this, 70 new players on this team, it was pretty easy to tell that, like, hey, this probably ain't going to work out. Because you can do the thing where you can come in, you can be successful, but it's really hard if, like, so for example, last year, Curt Cignetti, his first year at Indiana, takes Indiana to the college football playoff. They go 11-1. Well, Cignetti was really successful is because he brought a whole bunch of his guys from James Madison, some of his staff from James Madison. He brought them over with him to Indiana. So there was some continuity. There is no continuity with this North Carolina team. It's just a bunch of new guys. It's a bunch of entitlement, and it's a bunch of guys that don't know what they're doing at building a college football program. I'm sorry, UNC fans. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you guys had to deal with this, because this is not just repercussions like, hey, you know what? Bill Belichick didn't work out. We'll buy him out. We start over in a few months, which you obviously do, and that's something to look forward to. But last off season in college football, there was not many jobs open. I don't think there was any SEC jobs open, if my memory is correct. I don't think, maybe there was the Purdue job was open in the Big Ten. Maybe there was some ACC jobs, but there was no like big jobs open. There was North Carolina. Like, North Carolina was, if my memory is correct, I believe they might have been the most sought after the most elite, let's say, head coaching job last offseason. And North Carolina could have had the pick of the litter of who they wanted that actually wanted to, maybe the hotshot coordinator, the hotshot G5 coach, John Summerall, who's coaching at Tulane, who I think is going to, take one of those SEC jobs in a few months. You could have had him. And instead you went with Bill Belichick. And now if you guys, it seems like all indications are you guys are moving on from Bill Belichick. You guys are going to have to compete with Arkansas, who might get the chicken guy or the Walmart guys. They might come in and be like, hey, we want Arkansas football to be good. You're going to have to compete with them for money. Florida might open in a little bit. Auburn could potentially open. UCLA, which I guess you probably aren't worried about that one as much. Virginia Tech. And Virginia Tech, you know what Virginia Tech has said as soon as they fired their guy, Brent Pry? They said, hey, we're going to be spending a whole lot of money on our football program. We're going to be investing a whole bunch of stuff at this. They're putting that out there so that candidates that they interview are going to want that job, so that they jump to the front of the line of the coaching searches out there. And now North Carolina, you're looking at this job right now. It's going to be, you're going to be getting your fourth, fifth different type of option here. You're not going to be able to get your pick of the litter like you were last year. And again, too, guys, there might be 2 or 3 other jobs that I don't even know about that might open. I don't even know about. What if Kirk Ferentz retires at Iowa? Then one of either it's Burt, it's Chris Kleiman, or it's Mark Stoops. One of them are going to go take that job probably. Well, then one of their jobs opens. Not a good situation for North Carolina. I will admit this, though, because there's a lot of people that go out and they give takes and they give their opinions, and they never say when they are wrong. I was wrong on this. All of the stuff I was saying at the beginning about the binder and the North Carolina, and they're going to do it right, and they're going to bring in all of these guys, and they're going to be I really bought into it. I thought this was going to work. I thought it was going to be kind of successful. And I definitely didn't think it was going to be a disaster. But I think I mostly bought into it because I saw that the North Carolina was going to increase their NIL budget from basically from $5 million to $20 million. That's what I really bought into it. I'm like, okay, you're actually going to give Bill Belichick the players to coach at college? If you're going to give him the talent, then yeah, I buy into it. But Bill Belichick didn't. Because it's not like some of these guys that they brought in the transfer portal are bad. It's not like that all the football players on this team suck. There's not, I mean, there is Division I players on this roster. That's kind of the point that I'm making. I know that they aren't looking like it all the time, but there's a reason that this was the third highest, transfer portal class. This was supposed to have 10 different 4-stars via the transfer portal. It shouldn't be this bad. It shouldn't be this bad, but it makes sense if you do have a bunch of guys that don't know what they're doing at their jobs, and that's why it looks this bad on a variety of different levels. That last quote from Ollie Connolly there that he quoted of a staffer, I feel sorry for the kids too. I felt sorry for all the 70 kids or whatever that came onto this team that thought they were going to be getting coached by the greatest coach ever, thought that they were going to be part of something really great at North Carolina, thought that maybe they were going to be spending multiple years at North Carolina. I feel sorry for the 36 or 37 kids or whatever they have committed in high school right now, because this Bill Belichick thing actually happens in the next week or two. You're going to see a lot of them get decommitted. And, choosing your college, where you're going to go to school, where you're going to play football, it's a big thing. And all these kids thought they were going to be going and playing for Bill Belichick, and now they're not. They're not. I don't see how, even if this is, Bill Belichick's like, hey, I'll stick it out for the rest of the season. I can't see how even after this, at the end of the year, he stays. I can't see it. I can't see it at this point. There's too much smoke with this stuff. And, yeah. Complete disaster at North Carolina. Again, I'm sorry, Tar Heels fans. I'm sorry. You guys deserve better. You guys deserve better. All right, that's going to do it for this episode here today. If you like this episode, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. 950 as the time I am recording this. Maybe when you're watching, it's a little bit higher. But help us get to that goal. We are very close. We want to get there. Hopefully by the end of October, hopefully. So help a dude out. hit that subscribe button, leave a comment. What do you guys think is going wrong at North Carolina? Do you think these reports are true? What is your overall thoughts of Bill Belichick in North Carolina? Would love to hear everything that you guys are thinking. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Feel free to check out other content on this channel.